guys, it's me, Danibuttons, and today we're gonna watercolor. I mentioned in my plans for October, that's the video, that I wanted to use paint more, and that includes my watercolors. So I figured let's jump right into that and do it right away. So I'm coloring today out of Romantic Country, The Second Tale by Cherie, and I'm gonna do the Halloween-y one over here. And I actually love using watercolor in Cherie. I, for a long time, only used colored pencils, but then I slowly started to mix in some watercolors, and now my current style has no time for pencils, so we're gonna try in just watercolors. Not sure if I'm gonna finish this one on camera though. We're gonna give it our best shot and see what happens. So that being said, it looks in frame. I'm going to use my mat. This is a cutting board from the dollar store, and I'm just gonna shove that back there. I don't plan on going through, but this helps me see where my edges are on double-sided paper. I find that sometimes, like, if they bend up, you don't know where the edge to your page is in the next one, so I'm gonna shove that back there. I'm using my Prima watercolors. I have 4 sets, so I can link them down below, and they came in individual little tins, and I recently just bought this large tin to put them all in together, and I've only painted with them all in this tin like once or twice, so we will see how we like that. But I have the classic set, which is the top row, then Pastel Dreams, then Decadent Pies, and finally Vintage Pastels, which these are beautiful. I might try to focus on these, but we'll see. I don't want to make any promises. So, but these are my newest, so I've used them the least overall. So this palette is basically a bigger version of what they originally came in, because it also, let me take those out of the way, has the little holding spot on the back for you to be able to like do this with it. And then it has lots of mixing spots, so you can mix in all these, obviously the big ones, and in fact this whole tin comes out and there's even more mixing spots underneath, which I have in the past in my littler ones used the mixing spots. I don't think I ever had to take the whole tray out, and they're in here medium securely. I've dropped this before and it's been okay. I don't recommend it, but it's okay. So that is what we're working with. I also have my Kuretake water brush. This is basically the only thing I use. Honestly, I should get a second one because this is trash. I don't treat it very nice, if I'm honest with you, but I'm used to it. And then I have my disgusting paint cup, which I kind of love because I don't like my supplies getting dirty at all. So I kind of think I feel cool that my paint cup is dirty because it makes me feel like a real artist, which is ridiculous. And in there, I don't know if you can see, is my paint puck, which is like my favorite thing. And it's like a silicone insert that suction cups to the bottom of your paint cups, and it helps clean your bristles without making them fray too bad. Sam just got back from the grocery store, and Miss Noodles is trying to run to me for safety. Push the door. You know how to do it. Sometimes she gets stuck indoors. Push, push. No, all right, she won't. I closed the door halfway to remind Samuel that I'm filming. So I don't really have a plan, which is why I don't think I'm going to finish this one on camera. And I think a page of this size is going to take me a while. So I don't know where to start. Let's look at I like to start with backgrounds because I kind of feel like that focuses everything, but I don't have a plan. I'm thinking I might use a lot of terracotta for the wall in the background because that feels like wall to me. Maybe we'll do like the dark rose roof. And of course I can mix. So I might mix dark rose and terracotta to make a lighter roof, and then all the background wall I might do in terracotta, and then we'll figure it out from there. And back to brick. Does this make sense? We'll give it a shot. So I keep my pastels or my paints in the order that I swatch them. I don't put them in color order necessarily because these swatch cards came with it. So right now, this one should be terracotta and that one should be dark rose. So I'm gonna take dark rose. I usually just take my paint and like put a few drops. And again, this is a water brush, but I frequently use my cup of paint, or cup of water, I mean. So I'm gonna get it super dark rose, which is looking a lot lighter. I also, can you see any of what I'm doing? I think it's just on screen. And as a disclaimer that nobody needs, but I'll tell you anyway, this is in no way a tutorial. I just like to talk through how I do things. Also, I'm realizing now this is gonna have a little shine to it because I think the last time I used this, I used my iridescent medium with my brush. So I'm just trying to get the water out and then we will go to our terracotta and mix that in to kind of tone it down. And then we'll see. This might not be doing anything that I want it to do. I have no idea. I don't know. It's all experimenting. You can kind of, I hope, see how that's going. Okay, so now the brush is going to be super wet because of all we've just done. So you kind of have to be careful in the beginning. I don't really worry about going over lines too much because it will dry and they'll come back. So, but you always want to start, or I always start with the top left and I work my way right because I am a righty. So if I started with the right, I would put my hand in whatever I just did. And you're gonna have the most wet and color on when you just dip in. So it's gonna, as you can see, get lighter as I go. So when we're trying to shade later, we'll think about that more. But this is all just sky. And the magic of watercolors, if it looks like there's too much in any space, I can kind of just bring my brush back over and sop it back up. So that's what's nice. It really is pretty workable. I think you can kind of see that that's like almost more terracotta and then it's turning more rose. So I'm gonna add even more terracotta. Another thing, I always try to keep my paints as clean as possible, and it can be hard. Some of them you can tell, I think that they got a little bit sloppy, but they're pretty self-cleaning. So if you need to get back to your base color, you just kind of brush at it and it'll clear up. Usually, if I was being even more careful, you would have a dirty water cup and a clean water cup so that you like would wash your brush in the dirty water cup and then like add new water with your clean water cup just to minimize contamination, but I am not that serious about it. And also, as you're seeing, we're gonna get some crinkle, especially when we're doing an entire page in watercolor. But I, for the most part, don't let that bother me. Right now, this is Romantic Country Volume 2, which is my personal least favorite. So at this point, I'm just enjoying getting pages done. And that's more important than worrying about a little bit of crinkle. But I definitely understand not liking the crinkle. There are some books that I will not do watercolor in because I don't want the crinkle. So it's all personal preference. And in general, the more you watercolor, you'll get used to how much water you're using and you'll kind of just get better. Makes sense. So hopefully you can see everything. I'm always so nervous about my framing, but to get everything in nicely, I usually keep my camera above my eye level. So yeah, so I'm gonna just do this roof and then I'm probably gonna just do pure terracotta, like I said, for all the background area, and then we'll see where that has taken us because I'm worried. That's the only bit. Why does that sound like a ship blowhorn. I don't know what that was. It might have been the fire department. Because now I can hear sirens. But anyway, yeah, that's only downside about doing the background first when I'm filming, is that I feel like you guys don't get to see the fun stuff. But on the other hand, maybe it is helpful because a lot of people, or a lot of pictures, because I do this myself on other types of pictures, if you do the background last, then you don't get to see that. So it's all relative. So again, in general, you want to go the opposite of where you're handed. So if you're left-handed, you'd go this way. I'm right-handed, I'm going to go this way. I'm just going to do all the background here first, and then I'll do that stripe at the end. These watercolors do dry pretty fast, but not super, super fast. So the problem with bigger spaces that I have is it's hard to keep everything even. So obviously, depending on like what texture I'm going for, you don't necessarily have to keep it even. Like this is supposed to be terracotta, so I can make this look wall texture. But when you first put your brush down, you want to put it in the shadows. So you would put it like right next to all the items where natural shadows would be. And as you're going to see, as I'm switching from the mix to just terracotta, you're going to kind of see the differences in color. And I just personally think that just gives us like more depth. And again, since they are watercolor and not like Inktense, you can move things around later. Just want everything to completely dry before you mess with it more, because that will keep it from the paper ripping. So that's my tip. So like that looks much darker than over here, but that was when it was mixed, and now here is basically pure terracotta. I'm sorry that I'm reaching over. That is the only negative I've found so far with the big palette. Because it's harder to like lean it on top of my paper because it would just cover the whole thing. So unfortunately, I will have to be reaching over to grab the color from time to time. But yeah, so it's looking too dark. I'm just gonna keep working it and pushing it out. And if it's still too dark, you could always add more water, but mostly keep pushing it. That's why I really like this brush, because it basically is always wet. So it works for me. I always have a problem. I don't know how to get like the official watercolor look. Like it's almost splotchy, but it's intentional, so it looks good. So I frequently am just trying to get everything even. So I'm so sorry, I'm messaging somebody. That was rude. Yeah, now I have more paint, so I'm gonna go at the line and then work my way down. So in theory, all behind our skeleton will be the lightest. And again, if I like need more paint and like this wasn't enough and now I don't really have any edges, you can kind of go back over where you started and just like, again, push from that area. And you can also steal from different areas if you need it. So I'm like really close to being done. So I might just go into a darker spot and kind of get some extra paint, but the bare minimum. I feel like it is looking a little bit crispy, but once it dries, we'll just be able to wipe that all off. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the skeleton because that is a small detail. I don't know if I will paint it. Maybe this will be it because now he kind of looks dirty, and that could be a good thing, I guess. But we'll see. I'm gonna do back here now. I think it's looking good. And then after this, I might move on to the door and pumpkins. I just want to try to get as much as I can in about like 35 to 40 minutes. Because that's my favorite sweet spot for videos. When I'm watching color and chats, I definitely don't mind the whole full, however long it is. but I find filming it, I don't know why. I just think that 45 minutes is like, or 30 to 40 minutes is the sweet spot. But usually I do like to finish the page. So that's my excuse as to why it works for me. But again, I'm not sure if I will with this one. I've also been asked before why I don't do part 2s. And unfortunately, in my personal channel experience, nobody watches them. Womp womp. So, if you remember, if you've been around, I last year did a 4-parter with a Disney Vitro page. And by the end, we had like not much attendance going on, which is completely fine. But obviously, that's a lot of effort for nobody to watch. I think that's kind of been a hot topic recently, is how sometimes, doggy's mad. She says, "Don't talk about this, Mama." You can close my door the rest of the way, Sammy? Yeah. Thanks. How it can be frustrating because sometimes the more effort you put in doesn't get the best results, and like sometimes lower effort videos will get the most views. And let me tell you, I feel that. And I think part of it is that it's hard to know what some of the more unique videos are because people just don't know to search for it. So like I personally do lots of challenges and I do like vlogs, but how are you ever gonna know to search for a using all my gel pen vlog? Like you just won't. So you don't really know what to expect from it. But I'm really worried about that because I've mentioned this many times before and I'm sure you're like, girl, shush your face. And I understand that, but I'm already starting my Christmas video series and my goal is to have like legitimately 31 high intensity videos. I don't think high intensity is the right word, but like I have many thought out ideas that are going to take a long time to film and all that jazz. So I'm really nervous because I'm sure Christmas is a crazy time of year, obviously. Ugh, I'm coloring into that page, but that's fine. And I'm hoping that people will watch. But we'll see. We're going to see. And it's honestly mostly for me anyway. It's just kind of to see if I can do it, to see if I can plan this all out, to see if I can stick to it, to see if I don't get overwhelmed. This is like a fun challenge. And luckily for all of us, your videos don't go away after you post them. So if somebody doesn't watch in that first week, it doesn't mean they never will. So hopefully this is looking good. I'm having fun with it. So yeah, I don't know if you guys are gonna like watercoloring with me. I'm gonna hopefully finish this page and then post it on to Instagram. I think the other part with me liking to do videos that are only about an hour or 45 minutes to an hour is because that's kind of like how long I like coloring in one spurt. So a lot of times, like if I turn the video off before I do the speed color, I'll stop and I'll leave and I'll do something else and then I'll come back and finish it. So that's kind of like my max brain width, how long I can watch anything. Not watch, do anything. Sorry. So, I hope that makes sense. And I've also mentioned this, but sometimes when you're doing color and chats, you kind of go into autopilot mode and you just like start your topic and then your brain talks about it without you. So I think that just happened a little bit. So I apologize for that if I stopped making sense or if I got repetitive. But trying to keep it together. So let's do a little color and chatting while we finish up for a bit. Yes, we today got part 1 of our backyard fixed, I guess is how we'll say that. Basically, when we moved in, the backyard had this really nice, like, we have like a wooden deck, but it's right off our house, so it's not up or anything. I don't know how to explain a deck, so that's weird. But it had this like planter onto one side. So like this planter was built into the deck, and we always get critters. Like we've never really been gardeners in general. So I think the lady that lived here before us was really into gardening. Like she had so many plants inside, and she kept the landscaping really nice with flowers and all that stuff. But we moved in and Noodles was only like a year old, and she loved to go and hang out in the planter. So she would go in there, and sometimes she would just sit, but more often than not, she would dig in the planter. So it became apparent pretty quickly that we were not going to be able to actually use this planter because Noodles plus all the critters around meant we didn't have the capacity to keep plants alive in there. I'm also going to do this little border before I switch. I think that'll help balance it. But anyway, so it was basically an empty planter for the past few years. And recently, my dad was like, I want to do something with it. I want to change it. What should we do? And I was like, I think we should make it into a bench because I think it'd be really nice to just have the the seating there. Because we do in the summer usually throw 1 or 2 parties, and we end up having to like bring out folding chairs, which I don't love. Obviously, sometimes you need them, but I don't think they always look the best. And even though they're not, to me, they like feel cheap, which is, I know, I understand it's ridiculous. Like people need folding chairs. I obviously use the folding chairs, but it's not my favorite to have to use it. And I always feel like since like as host, I'm always the one sitting on the folding chairs and ugh. So I was like, I wish it could be a bench because that way that's like 4 seats built in and we won't need the folding chairs as often. And also that way we can put all of our backyard furniture away for the winter, but then if we go out with Noodles, there'll still be a space to sit. And also that way Noodles can actually sit on the bench, because it got to the point that she was digging in this planter and literally she dug at the wood and this planter like had collapsed in on itself, and like it was falling apart. It was crazy. Noodles is vicious. So that all happened. And finally today, after waiting many months, I think I'm going to do pecan door. Got distracted, but yes, pecan door. After waiting many months, we're finally getting it worked on. I don't really know what happened. My dad like found a guy to do this for us, like a contractor, just a random guy, and it got canceled a few times. So I'm like, oh good, finally getting my bench right in time for winter. But you know, so he came today to work on it, which was exciting, because I'm looking forward to having this be a bench. But then I was also rough because Noodles is a menace and barked most of the day. So, and he actually only half finished it because we are trying to like match the deck that's already there, but obviously we don't have access to the exact same supplies. So he's going to have to find new ones, and we have to like pick what we want to do instead. So let me just talk about this door for a second. So if you were watching instead of listening, which I know lots of people just listen, makes sense. I took my brown, and also I don't know why pecan is looking very red here, but that's fine. Once I went into my little pan and I had the most ink on my brush, I went over all of the line work first. That's what I did first. So that would be the darkest, so that we don't lose any of that line work. And again, it will lighten up enough that we can see everything, but hopefully you can tell that that is the darkest. So yeah, I spent my day with little Miss Noodles doing her barky thing. Luckily, I was smart And what I just did is barred her from the back half of the house so she couldn't see them out the window and like didn't know where they were. But like she knew the truck was parked here, so she knew they were somewhere. And they came inside and used the bathroom downstairs and I guess said hello. And so she screamed for that. So we had a rough morning, but it wasn't too, it was pretty bad. They got here at like 8 a.m., which again, we are not morning people. Luckily, Sam's schedule, my schedule, we don't have to get up early. So 8 a.m. is very early for us, especially for her to start screaming. So she did that in the morning, and they were gone by like 1. But 8 a.m. to 1 is a lot of screaming for a little lady. So I'm hoping she will be calm the rest of the night. And we also went on a walk when Sam was done with work at 6. So just a quick mile. Well, a slow mile because we're slow, but so hopefully she is pooped and therefore a good girl. And besides grumpy dog walking by, we should have no problems. But yes. All that to say, I'm very excited for this bench to get finished, and then I'm going to have to buy cushions, and now it's like off season though, so I don't know where I'm going to get cushions. But I'm assuming that even if it's just wood, we'll be able to sit on it, even if I can't find cushions right away. I'm also assuming that Amazon will have everything if I need to resort to that. So, how's it going? We are 26 minutes in, and I can hear Sam working on dinner. So hopefully we will be timing it right, that both of these things will be done at the same time. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it open to you guys if you want a part 2. Again, since I haven't done it in so long, like it's okay to try new things every once in a while. So let me know if you want part 2. I cannot promise. No, I will. If I end up doing part 2, I will promise to finish it, but it will likely be about the same length video, and then I'll just speed color whatever is not done, because we are not doing part 3s around here. So let me know, and this will not become a norm on my channel, but I do love watercoloring with you guys, because I always wonder if like watercoloring feels intimidating or anything, because I think more of us should do it. It's so fun. And so easy, and you can do it in double-sided books, which is nice. Because usually if like there's like tags that it's like choose one medium and that's all you can use for the rest of your life, I almost always choose watercolor mediums because you can use them in double-sided books, and that's useful. So I'm going to have to try watercoloring in Amazon printed books. I've done it, I think, but obviously that sucks up water even quicker. So those definitely get crinkly. It's still possible, but comparatively, it's not my favorite. Also, why is this one so dark? I don't know. Probably because it was a short one and I painted it as if it was a regular length. But again, I can just go back and suck up some paint and fix it up. So yeah, I'm having a bad feeling that I'm literally just gonna finish this door and be like, okay, bye. So part 2 might be in order, but you'll let me know. Unless everybody that was here and heard me say there was no part 2 was like, ugh, you're not even gonna finish this. And then they all just left. That'd be sad. Ooh, between the legs down there. So I just drag up extra paint. We'll bring it on down. And of course, if you're liking how this is looking, we can always make the other areas even darker instead. So I can just add extra to the lines. I think what happened was just I got a really light piece next to a really dark piece, so it's looking even darker. Again, pecan is looking a lot redder than I was expecting. Maybe I put too much in my little test swatch. Who knows? What else is going on? It's so funny because this video is going up on the 4th, but I'm filming it on September 30th. So by the time you see this, I will have already gone to the corn maze. But right now I'm doing that this weekend and it's confusing me even saying it. So cool. All that to say, yeah, this weekend I'm going to a corn maze, which I'll probably tell you about next week or in part 2 if we so choose to do it. That's the only thing I'm also worried about doing in part 2 is that like I'm going to have to wait the 4 or 5 days for you guys to see the video to decide. So that means I will not be finishing this picture on my own, but whatever. Again, I tap out at around half an hour anyway. I think it's looking really cool. Yeah, I'm going to finish this door and be done with part 1. Part 2, I won't have to like explain as much. Obviously, I don't have to explain, and I'm sure there are some of you that are like actual watercolor experts, and you're probably sitting there like, ooh, I don't know if I would take that advice. And that's always awkward. But that's why I don't do tutorials. I just tell it like I do it. I feel like the watercolor actually does most of the work for me because if you just keep brushing, it changes on its own, you know what I mean? Which is fun. Whew. I've run out of things to say. That's the other thing. I tap out on the chatter at about half an hour too. It's such a pretty door. I have no plan for the rest of the colors, which is also in general worrying me. So we'll see how this goes. I'll have time to think about it. Do you ever have pictures that like everything's going great and then you make one color choice and you're like, ugh, that's it, it's over. I hate that. That's like the worst feeling in coloring. And I don't want that to happen to me. I'm not saying it's going to because it hasn't yet, but I'm worried. I always have the problem that I don't know if I want to color like with a palette or with what real life would look like. You know what I mean? Like in real life, these kids are not wearing matching clothes and like the pumpkins don't match the environment. Maybe the grass is green and that's like a purple curtain, who knows? But in coloring, I'm like, oh man, these kids should match because they look better matching. Why does it smell like mashed potatoes? I wonder if Samuel is making potatoes. I don't even know. He's like, I have a plan. And I was like, okie dokie. So I'm excited to get out there and see what's going on. Need a little more paint. Oh, paint, water. Jeez Louise. So yes, let me know if we want a part 2. The way I'm talking, it sounds like there will be a part 2. But let me know because I'm gonna wait, I think. I don't know. It might already be filmed by the time you see it. But if you're like, ew, no, disgusting, maybe I just won't release it. That'll show you. No. And let me know if you do watercolor. You ever have done it. For many years, I just used my $5 set from Michael's, and those work great for me. So I think watercolor can be pretty accessible also, because I've legitimately just used this one brush and for years just used this one paint. I very slowly collected more paints over time or gotten them as gifts, because that's really half of the things that I own I get as gifts, because my friends and family all use wish lists, which I very much appreciate. So, but what I'm saying is, if you ever want to try watercolor, it's not hard to get into. Especially for a few years, I only had this original classic set. And obviously you got your main colors, so you can mix anything. I've done many full pages with just this set and just made every color and shade that I needed. So, yes, that. There we go. What do you think? Again, I really do like it so far. I know it's not very much, so I apologize for that. But apparently this is what 35 minutes of work looks like with watercolor in this book. And again, if this was pencil, I probably would have just finished the door and nothing else, or just finished like this section. I'm very slow with pencil. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm excited. I'm happy to be doing this page also. I'm pretty sure I got this book in 2017. And this was actually the first one I got, because I found this one on Book Outlet. And I had just like seen it floating around on ColorTube, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna pick that up. And then I later got 1 and 3. So yes, this was my first ever Erie book. I think one of my first 5 coloring books in general. And I'm excited to be doing more. I've been wanting to do this page basically since then. Pretty sure I got it for my birthday, so I think I missed that first Halloween, but that means that there was what, 18, 19, 20, 21. So this is like the 4th Halloween that I've had this book. So very happy. I hope you enjoyed. If you made it till the end, what can we say? I feel like we've said all of these words. What words haven't we said? Goose. Say goose, please. Ooh, this is the page I did with all my glitter gel pens, if you can see that over to the side. So goose is our secret word, and please, please let me know if you want a part 2. Again, this won't be like common that I always do part 2s, but I feel like I didn't give you very much for this page. So let me know down below. Like this video, comment anything you want to comment, including the word goose and yes or no to my question. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm a fun time. I will be back again in 2 days with a new video, or potentially part 2. I don't know. Might take me a little longer. We'll see. And Noodles very emphatically says goodbye, friends. So thank you and bye.